Okay, so it's recording?
Yes.
Whoa, it's happening. All right. So, Sadhana, how are you?
Doing good, Milan. How are you doing?
Good, good, good. Very excited to have
Yeah.
this
You
conversation
were
with you.
out of the country for so long.
Yeah,
How has it been?
it's been really
You've
nice.
traveled a
Yeah,
lot?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
How
do.
has it been returning back?
I mean, back to reality, I guess. Back to the 401, that crazy
401.
traffic and complaining about the traffic. Yes.
So, do you want to when is the next trip and where are you planning on going?
Most likely end of November. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
should be the one to ask you
Okay,
questions.
all right. No, this is no. I just wanted to
No. Yeah.
understand because you've been. I think this is like
Yeah.
only been like the sec. I think you were out of the country for most of this year. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how's it going with you? How are you?
It's going good.
Yeah.
It's the fall has started, so this is the time when my allergies kick in. So I
Right.
kind
Right.
of like had
Stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So apart from that, I really like hikes. So we've
Yeah.
been going like for hiking.
Where do you guys go?
Oh, there's so many beautiful trails around.
Yeah.
It's just like a 5 minute drive, especially
Right.
like on Highway 7.
Yeah.
So we end up going there, and it's very refreshing.
Yeah.
So it also clears your brain a little
100%,
bit, and
yeah.
it's a great way for you to kind of also like make peace with the weather. Sometimes if it's suddenly getting cold, that you
Yeah.
know what, it's still really beautiful
Yeah,
outside.
yeah.
And I love fall. Like you can
I love the colors. They just
Yeah.
have a different vibe to it.
yeah,
No?
I love fall, so I know it's very short lived, so I try to make the most of fall.
Right. No, absolutely, absolutely. You try to get out as much as possible.
Yeah.
Out in the
yeah.
green, so it clears the
Yeah.
head and get a new inspiration.
And when
Yeah.
you have kids, you kind of have these like
Yeah.
autumn fairs and stuff, so you end
Yeah.
up taking them there. So it's nice, and you end up learning a lot because you end up
Yeah.
reading a lot because of them.
Yeah.
Like so on fairs
Yeah.
and like stories, etc.
Right.
So it's nice. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that I was actually this time waiting for the summer to get over. So
Yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. So, how's real estate? How's
that is such a I don't know how to answer that question sometimes because it's such an open-ended question, but I think real estate or the market right now is what a lot of people will say saturated.
Yeah.
A lot of people are biding their time. They're looking at this market and saying, is it going to go down further? So it's just a lot of people biding their time, but there are a lot of people, because of whatever their life circumstances are, have decided to make the move. So I just see it as a bit of a standstill, mainly because there are people who are not sure of what to do, and also like it's a lot to do with the economy itself, because
Yeah.
real estate and economy go hand in hand, right? So if you are uncertain of like things on your end for the job, for jobs, etc., you are going to see an impact on the economy. So I mean on the real estate market, and it goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
So like for instance, during COVID, there was so many like a lot of people were doing remote hiring, and there were actually quite a lot
Yeah.
of jobs going around. People and the interest rates were low, so that kind of made it this mixture of
Yeah.
like a really big real estate boom. So we're seeing a correction of that is
Right.
what I'm saying.
Mhm.
But prices are just like the same. It's not it's I would say like some of them have, depending upon the area and neighborhood, some of them have come down drastically, but in some of the high demand areas it's just remained like
And correct
static.
me if I'm wrong. I think October, Trev's data. I think it's. I was reading it somewhere. It says the sales went up by 8%, even though the prices fell.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh.
yes. So the sales, so it's, I think there was a rate cut which happened
September.
in September. So we're seeing a consequence of that.
Okay.
And I think we're going to see, there will be a few more rate cuts as per the Bank of Canada
Yeah.
itself.
Do you think people are gonna wait and see how far down it's gonna go and then make the move, or what's the sentiment like right now?
I think so. The people who have to make the move will make the move, based on their circumstances. But there will be some people, for instance, who are looking mainly to upsize.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people who bought in the 2021 or 2020 market. They're looking to upsize, and they want to put their house on the market and they want to see how much they can get.
Yeah.
So because of that, they're biding their time and seeing
Yeah.
when the market can potentially
Yeah.
pick up. And that is probably one of the reasons why you're seeing the stagnation, because a lot of people who are, going, sort of upsizing are seeing this, like, okay, how, I may not get the price I want, if I put my house up on the market.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And how's the pre-construction market for you? Are you,
I think pre-construction right now, it's a lot of builders are offering really good deals.
I see deals everywhere. I get emails from builders saying 20,
Yeah.
40,000 off, 50,000 off, incentives,
There is, of
longer
course, the
closings.
$50,000, first-time home buyer, in GST incentive.
Right.
But there's also it's to do with the
Yeah.
pricing itself.
Right.
And it's very area specific. But by and large, Milan, the thing was, a lot of people used to think that pre-construction had become very expensive, especially during the pandemic era.
Right.
Especially if you consider or if you compare the resale and the pre-construction, because when you got to appraise your house, when the time for closing comes, you got to go through the banks for a mortgage, and
Yeah.
then they will appraise it, and a lot of appraisals fell through, which is what was happening, because the pre-construction was on the higher side during that 2021 2022 time,
Right.
because there was a lot of demand from consumers,
Right.
and that was a lot in the condo market, but it was also in the single family detached freehold market as well. So what we're seeing right now, especially in some areas and neighborhoods in GTA, is the prices of pre-construction are on par with resale, for the same type, like let's say a double car detached resale, 0 to 5 years old versus a pre-construction. They are the same, or if not lesser. And for me, that makes a great deal. And I was just at one of the builders office, and they a lot of people desire premium lots, like backing onto a ravine
Right.
or a walkout
the corner
basement.
lot or
Yeah, so the premiums always would range between like 60,000, 50,000, depending upon the area. But in GTA, I saw like one of the builders offering like a walkout basement with backing onto a green space for $35,000.
Right.
So that for me is a fantastic deal, because premiums were always a lot. So when you see that, that this is a good deal.
Right.
Because as a realtor, I can tell you that a lot of demand is there for some of these premium lots. Everyone desires something backing onto green space.
Yeah.
Everyone desires something where they get more space in terms of like having a walkout basement, just extra livable space. So and builders know that. So the fact that they're offering that premium at a really good price, for me, makes this a very good deal. I think if anyone is looking to maybe close in the next 6-8 months, pre-construction, and even if it's a resale, right? So you have a lot of houses which are inventory homes. The builders are looking to push those inventory homes soon.
Right.
So we're able to get those houses and also negotiate on the pricing as well. Because I'll give you an example. I saw this house which was in Oakville, and I went and saw that house. It was a beautiful house, a double car detached,
Right.
in one of the most premium neighborhoods in Oakville. It's Glen Abbey, and it was backing onto a golf course.
Right.
The builder is very well known, and this was an inventory lot. It was priced at around 2.9 million.
Okay.
Around. And then unfortunately we didn't end up getting it, because my client wanted to close in 2026.
Right.
And the builder did not want to hold on to it for so long. But they ended up reducing the price. So first I saw the price drop, going from 2.5 million, then 2.6 million, 2.5 million. It ended up selling for around 2.3 million.
Wow.
So that was almost like a $500,000
Yeah.
drop.
Yeah.
And this is a brand new ravine back, like a golf
And
course
it's Oakville.
backing,
Yeah.
double car detached, over 3,500 square feet.
Yeah.
for me, that's a great deal, right? So
Right.
whoever got that house, good on them. So yeah.
No, that's amazing. And what's your opinion on the market? Like, do you think it's gonna bounce back? Yeah, are you seeing the traction in the market right now, or you think
I
it's gonna
think
bounce back in 2026, next year?
I think it's gonna it will bounce back based on the rate cuts. So
Right.
it's I mean, at this point it's all about the affordability of the consumer.
Right.
So, but it's not like consumers are not there, and it's not like houses are not selling.
Right.
There are some specific type of houses, namely condos, which are, you know, having a really hard time selling. And those mainly, if you remember, were mostly investor owned properties, etc.
Right.
And that was specifically designed as an investor property. It is, you know, an investor, yes, can buy it, but sometimes, so anything which is not compatible with the end user, that's something which is having a hard time
Right.
selling.
No, absolutely. It makes sense. Yeah, no, builders are coming out with a lot of incentives. They're
Yes.
like dropping the price, right?
Yes.
They try to attract as many people as possible. What areas do you think that that has the most value in terms of return? Like what areas? Like for example, is Pickering better than Ajax? Or if you have X amount of dollars, would you invest in Pickering or would you invest in Oakville? In terms of the return, the cash flow you're gonna get.
Okay, so so if you know, like, Oakville is the most desirable place in the entire Greater Toronto
Oakville's
area.
more like a lifestyle that you want to live there.
It is also
and
the most expensive city.
right.
And it's
But
all
in terms of like say first-time home buyers looking
Yeah.
to buy first home, say someone's rented out for like last 2 years, they're renting, you know, with their family and want to buy their first home. And there are hundreds of thousands of people like that, right? There's so many families waiting to buy their first home.
yeah.
What would you suggest them to start? Like, where is the starting place for a lot of first-time
So-
home buyers?
So I really like the Durham region,
Yeah.
and I know for a fact, because I've been there
Yeah.
so often, that I
And
know
it's expanding, it's growing. No, I was just there in Taunton yesterday in Whitby,
It
and
is-
then I was amazed how the
And it's
place is so
very-
transformed
and
completely.
it's also diverse.
It is,
It is
yeah.
a diverse community. If you see around
All kinds
you,
of cultures coming together.
Yes. So this is what people are. The
Yeah.
people who are kind of priced out of Markham end up coming to Pickering.
Right.
The people who want to move closer to, you know, commute towards downtown Toronto end up moving to Pickering. That is from Whitby, Oshawa,
Right.
Clarington, etc. And so you will see a mix of a lot of cultures out there, and I think you'll see it, because they're expanding at such a rapid rate.
Right.
It's the one of the few areas in the Greater Toronto area where you get, I would say, if you're a first-time home buyer, you'll probably get the maximum value for money, because you'll be able to get a freehold property starting from the, you know,
Right.
late 700s in Whitby to 800s, you know, like early 800s in Pickering. And for me, that's, you won't get anything
Yeah.
less than 850 in the Greater Toronto area. I'm talking about a 3-bedroom, 3-bath freehold townhome,
Right.
which is 2 stories. So this is one of the few areas which is offering you so much of choice.
So there's still, what you're saying is there's still choice for a lot of first-time home buyers to buy their first
Exactly.
home. So they don't have to wait till 2026 or 2027.
Yes.
There are options for a lot of first-time
And
buyers.
a lot of builders are even offering the 2027 closing.
Perfect.
So if it's, they know, like, a lot of people do not want to close now. So
Right.
so the thing is that if you want to go for a later closing, idea is just to kind of protect yourself from, you know, making sure that, you know, your appraisal will come through. So
Right.
just get like one of those rate guarantees, which a lot of, you know,
And
banks
do
offer.
you also help the buyers with the mortgages and connecting
Yeah,
them with
of course.
lawyers and making sure that their whole, you know, home buying process is easier and smooth? Do you also help them
so
out?
with pre-construction, that's what I tell a lot of people, that it's not the same, you know, agreement of purchase and sale you're signing as resale property. You're signing a builder form, which is, you know, like, it's almost 40 pages long,
Right.
and it's got a lot of things in fine print. So you have to get a lawyer to review it, and I make sure that all my clients end up having a lawyer to review it, so they know what they're getting into, what
So they're
signing.
protected as well.
Yes,
right?
so
Yeah.
they know what is the assignment clause, what is, what is it in terms of development charges,
Right. The
everything.
occupancies and
Exactly.
the levies and
Exactly. So they are aware of everything,
Yeah.
and I always offer my clients the contacts for the people who I know will get them a rate guarantee, and it really depends upon the financial disposition
Yeah.
of them, of where they want to get it, because right now there is flexibility in the from the builder's end as well. Sometimes I think when it was like 2022, they would say we want only A lenders, in terms of pre-approval letters, but
Right.
now even if it's the B side, which is they're still okay with it.
Right.
So it really depends upon the financial disposition, but my goal is to make sure that the client is protected in terms of the appraisal coming through.
Right.
So I also make sure that the value of the property which they're purchasing, they're
Right.
not purchasing a very overvalued property.
Right.
So, and you cannot like no one can predict the future. If someone says I'll know what happens in 2027, they're lying, because nobody
Right.
knows what happens, but what is
Yeah.
happening in the present. So you can say that if I'm getting an X house for X amount of dollars, is it on par with what I would get on resale, or is it like much higher, and am I overpaying? And that is what you can get use to get a rate guarantee.
Right.
So a lot of builders have teamed up with banks, and even if it's not like the bank you prefer to work with, we have other lenders as well to help you navigate the entire pre-approval process. So it's just peace of mind, Milan.
So working with you is you're not just a realtor, but you're also a friend, right? You're also going out there to help someone, make them understand the process, and it's kind of like a lot of times when you look at APS, the agreement purchase sale, a lot of people don't understand like half of the things that's on the documents. Like they don't know exactly what they're signing, right? And you're there to help them out. You're there
Yeah.
kind of like simplify the process and make sure the lawyers are there to review the documents.
Yes.
And help with the mortgages, right?
Yes.
Connect with the right people. If
Exactly.
they can't get approved from the A lender, there are also options with the B lenders as well, right? So you're
Yes.
going to connect them with the mortgage agents, so you have the best possible outcome for your clients.
Exactly, because
Okay.
it's not just like you sign the APS and you're done with it. It's a year-long or a 2-year-long process, depending upon when the closing is.
Right.
And in that period of time, you would want to plan your finances.
Yeah.
So even if it means that I have to connect you with an accountant,
Yeah.
and you don't have an accountant of your own, and everybody's finances and circumstances are different, so you want to make sure that it is a sort of a tailored plan for you.
Yeah.
Because I cannot give you like a one size fits all for
Right.
everybody. So it would really depend upon your life circumstances.
Yeah.
For instance, a lot of people come with some kind of I have to sell my house in order to purchase this house. So for that, I have to tell them that this is the time period you want to start out in terms of putting your current house for sale. And then I also make sure that whatever the house they're selling, I tell them the fair market value at this point, so they know what their affordability is. So it's not like they're expecting their house is going to magically jump up to $100,000 in 6-7 months. So they know, okay, this is my affordability right now, and they have a very clear picture that okay, I can for sure close it even if there is a little bit of fluctuation in the market.
Right.
So you want to be prepared for all of that, because it's actually quite sad to see a lot of appraisals fall short and do not, and sometimes you just cannot predict the market, but sometimes appraisals fall short by a lot, like $300,000, $400,000.
That's crazy. I can just imagine how
Yes.
these people are gonna come up with the difference if it falls
Yes,
short
so-
by $300,000. That's a
Yeah,
lot
so
of money.
that's $300,000.
Yeah.
So sometimes you cannot predict the market, because a lot of people expect the housing market to keep climbing
Yeah.
up, but you also want to just prepare for this kind of a fluctuation, that even if your current house drops by value by
Right.
20, 30,000. Because if you're upsizing, I'm assuming you're going to live there for
Yeah.
another 10 years
Mm-hmm.
or at least another 7, 8 years.
Right.
And you're not doing this as a flip.
Yeah.
So if your house is going to jump in value,
Right.
but it's not going to be in a span of a
Right.
year or two. It's going to be in the span of 7 years, 6 years,
Right.
8 years. That's your forever home which you're getting into.
Right.
So you are making that choice of upsizing. It may be a bit of a stretch even for financially, but if this is going to be a forever home, it's a fantastic investment because it will jump in value, because you are having people come into the housing market every year, and you are having, I mean, I know immigration has dropped drastically, but people are still looking to buy houses. We still have a housing shortage, and a lot of people, especially in the Greater Toronto area, are looking to move here, just for job opportunities.
Right.
So you are in the place is, as long, if it's Greater Toronto area, even the Greater Horseshoe area, which
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like Guelph, Kitchener,
Yeah.
Waterloo, Hamilton, etc. Even those do have the potential to jump, though they're not as much as probably the Greater Toronto area. That's just a fact. It's just because of the way the market, it's the entire market of Toronto is centered around how how close you are to
Yeah.
downtown.
Yeah.
So, but I think as long as it's your forever home, you should not think that it's it's a bad deal. It will come up in value, especially if the house which you're upsizing is a great house. For instance, something which is backing onto green space, something which is around 3,000, 3,500 square feet, that's always going to be very desirable for people. And I see a lot of people who end up living in Greater Toronto area, and then they just want more space because they want their parents to come and live with them, and they want more space, and they feel a little priced out in Greater Toronto area, so they end up moving outskirts. So
Right.
it's a so it's, every person is different, so you want to make sure that a tailored solution is there for each person.
Right.
Yeah.
So working with you, from my conversation with you, working with you is more of you're getting a whole package. So not just a real estate agent, but actually someone who works in your best interest.
Yes.
Right. Someone who's going to be watching
And
every
that's-
little
and
detail,
that's very
making sure
key.
that their lifetime saving is protected, and they're not just randomly putting the money in some random places where they don't know where they're getting into, right? So you're
Yeah.
there to kind of tell
Yeah.
them stop, or tell them, okay, this is the best decision because of so and so reasons.
Yeah, so I think that's very important, especially from a realtor's perspective and from anybody who says that what is the point of a representation?
Yeah.
Because everyone is there to sell their products. So you can go into
Yeah.
the market and no one is preventing you from selling, people selling their products, but
Right.
you don't know sometimes the sort of minute disadvantages it may come with, because they're not protecting
Right.
your interests.
Right.
They're not obligated to protect your interests. It is they are representing the sellers.
Right.
So it's I think imperative, especially with such a large amount of money. It's probably the biggest financial decision you're making, right? So I mean, you would want to make sure that everything is taken care of as much as possible,
Right.
and sort of shielded from any future inconsistencies.
Right. No, makes sense.
So,
Yeah.
so you even like planning out what the course of the next year or two is going to be is something which I tell my clients. For instance, if it's going to be like if they are, if let's say that they just they've got like a 1-year mortgage, and then they want to like sort of refinance after a year, I make sure that, okay, do you think I discuss it with them.
Yeah.
Though of course it's their choice at the end of the day, but I make sure that they know what they're getting into, because a lot of these people are, all the mortgage agents are my contacts, and sometimes I end up like being the, I wouldn't say interpreter, but kind of
Yeah.
like being the in between and telling them, okay, this is what is being offered.
Yeah.
These are the two options you have. So, this is what are the disadvantages of this.
Yeah.
These are the advantages of this. So they end up choosing, one, and they are very clear in what they're getting into.
Right. So I've been working with you, so I can totally attest to the fact that you're very communicative. You respond to all my text messages, emails. I've seen you working with your clients, and I can totally vouch for you. And anyone looking to buy their first home, or anyone looking to upsize or downsize or buy their investment property, I can totally vouch Sadhana. She's phenomenal, and you'll see the first day that you're going to be working with her. She will provide you all the details. She'll go above and beyond and make sure everything is taken care of.
So I think let's talk
Yeah.
more about why
Yeah.
probably representation matters, and
Okay.
people what is the difference between having knowledge in the industry versus
Yeah.
just winging it.
So what advantage do your buyer clients get by working with you? What do you bring to the table that the other realtors don't and can't?
Okay, so I cannot speak on behalf of other realtors. I don't know, I only know the way I work, and
Yeah.
probably the couple of people I'm close to, how they work.
Yeah.
But I don't really know, but I have had conversations with people where I'm a little surprised that,
Yeah.
they've ended up like reaching out to me because they've been working with an ex person, and they tell me how that ex person has worked, and, I'm a little astonished because sorry, what was your question again?
What are you bringing to the table that the other realtors are not? Why should someone
The first and
work with you?
foremost
Yeah.
is I would get the best price, the best house for the best price is what I aim to get for you.
Right.
And that is my biggest. Everybody's affordability is different.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be the one person telling you that, let's go to Opal and buy a $2.3 million house, because that's not everybody's budget, right?
Right.
So, but if I will be telling you that if you have an X budget and you have 3-4 places to go to, I will work as much as possible in the best interest, though I will respect your opinion in terms of, let's say that if you are very focused on being in an X city,
Right.
and that's because your family is around, then I'll make sure that that neighborhood is, what are the best schools in case you have children,
Yeah.
what is the safety like, and the most important thing is, just what is the quality upgrade you're going to be getting.
Right.
So everybody, when you're looking at purchasing a house, it's just not purchasing a house, you're kind of purchasing a lifestyle, if I can say that.
Absolutely. I love how you said you're not just buying a house, you're actually buying a lifestyle.
Yes.
Because the community that you're going to move into, right?
Exactly.
The proximity to highways,
Yeah.
the proximity to your work, to good
Exactly.
schools, going to impact
Yes.
directly, and
Yes.
you're going to see that impacting your life.
Exactly.
So you would want to move to the part of
house which suits everything. Like if you are 100% happy in the community you're living
Yeah.
in, and you just want an upgrade in the house, let's see which is the best deal. And the thing is that sometimes a lot of houses end up being in the market, especially. So when you see the pricing of a property, you can also sometimes be able to gauge the motivation of the sellers.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you're able to get the best price
Correct.
for that upgrade. So the lifestyle is the most important. See, you may want to save a few, like in the grand scheme of things, if you're spending close to $1 million, which is what a house is worth in Greater Toronto area.
Right.
You kind of don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish, if I may.
Yeah.
You don't want to be somebody who is like, okay, I don't want to spend like $5,000
Right.
more,
Yeah.
and miss out on a great opportunity. So even if it's a difficult conversation to have, I do want to tell that to my client, because I know for a fact that if they end up getting that house, it's a great deal for them.
Right.
So but we will be able to find a house
Right.
ultimately for them, but there will be places where it's like you are not sure of those decisions of, okay, is it worth a little more, $5,000, etc. But that is going to be the difference between you clinching that house,
Right.
which is the house of your dreams, versus waiting for, I don't know, a month or 2 months or 3 months and not finding the same type of house which appeals to
Right.
you. You are going to be changing your lifestyle drastically. It changes a lot more if you're moving from cities.
Right.
But even neighborhoods, right? You're going to be having different neighbors. You're going to be living in a different kind of house. Everything impacts. Like, you know, if you're living in a larger house, what are your needs? Are you a big family? Do your parents
Yeah.
visit you often? Do you have people stay over at your house often? So you want to kind of take everything into picture. How old are your kids? What is the career line you are in? Because like for instance, downtown Toronto is where a lot of jobs are, but every city has its own unique places where they've concentrated on. For instance, Markham is a growing tech hub. So anything close to Markham, if people end up, so if you are living in like if your job is in Markham and you end up purchasing something in like towards the west side of GTA, you want to take into picture the travel, right? Like you're going to be spending an hour
And
back and forth.
that impacts the lifestyle right away because
Yes.
you're stuck in traffic for an hour
Yes.
to work, and then you're coming back another hour.
Yes,
You're
so
tired.
it's
and-
not
yeah.
always about the like the best schools and the best
Yeah.
neighborhoods. Yes, of course, we all want what is best for children, but I think you also want to take into like picture what is your commute to your work
Yeah.
going to be like. What is so everything will impact your purchase. So make that balanced decision, and you would want to have somebody neutral to just point out those things to you. So I do try to place myself in my client's shoes, but you cannot do it always. But I do try to place myself in my client's shoes and say, what would I do if I were in her place or in his place? And I give them options. But of course, at the end of the day, what speaks to them is going to be the ultimate answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, no, I love the honesty and the information that you're actually these are gold nuggets, and I can totally see that anyone wants to buy work with you. I think they're in the best hands.
Thanks, Milan.
But yeah, so it's time to wrap up. I think we covered pretty much everything that we want to discuss. So we went to freestyle. Like, we didn't come with the agenda today. We just
Yeah,
wanted
for
to talk
sure.
about
Yeah.
things that.
So maybe what we can do is, if you would want to, we can discuss a little bit about maybe
Yeah.
neighborhoods
Okay.
and just an overview of Greater Toronto area. Do you want to do that?
You just want to do it? Okay. What
Oh,
do
is it my thing? Or?
I don't know. It's up to you. Whichever you like.
Okay, I don't know. These were the number of questions you had?
I had no questions in my head.
you said you
I just went with the flow. Okay, so I have some questions. Okay, cut, and we can start. So, Sadhana, what do you think of Dubai? Why is everyone's talking about Dubai? Everyone's like buying Dubai. Billions of dollars sold out in like 2 days. What's all that hype about? Like, what's going on?
I
Like,
don't
are we
know.
missing out? Like, what's going on in Dubai?
I don't know. You tell me.
Would you live in Dubai?
I wouldn't.
You probably want to say it, maybe.
I
don't know.
I wouldn't.
Have you
because-
been to Dubai?
I haven't been to Dubai. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
But so here's
Yeah.
the thing. I know I'll give you a few facts of what I think of Dubai, and it's with all my honesty.
Okay.
A lot of people think of Dubai as Plan B.
Right.
Just because of the cost of living out here. And I completely understand that. This country is a very expensive place to live in.
Yeah.
You just compare it to the cost of living in
Okay.
Dubai. So probably that's the reason a lot of people are going there.
Right.
But you do have, things you probably take for granted out here, which you may not get there. Right? I think the things you might want to think about is if you have children, like what is their education going to be like? Is it free or public education, or is it something you pay for? It's also the weather. I'm not saying that the weather out here is great, but the weather out there is going to be very different. It is so it's not. If you're somebody
but at
who's
least we got green here.
it's if you're somebody who enjoys outdoor activities like hiking or greenery or just like open spaces,
Yeah.
you can climb into your car and just go out here like in a 5-minute drive.
Right.
You're in a trail. Yes, there will be snow, there will be ice,
Right.
and it's Canada, but that's not an option in Dubai. And if you are somebody who's into that lifestyle, that may be something you want to think about. And the third thing which I want to say, which I feel very strongly about people who invest, is that so investment is something where you're looking at cash flow and you're looking at like making sure that your property also appreciates in time, like has a steady appreciation, so that you can get the, it's almost like putting it in some kind of a like a mutual fund, or maybe like
Right.
and just getting those returns plus interest.
Yeah.
With something like Dubai, what I would say is that it's not even in the same continent. So when you're looking at an investment property, a lot of caveats come with it, including maintenance of the property, what kind of people are you looking at, tenants. I have clients out here who have properties in London, Ontario, and they feel London is too far. So if you're thinking of purchasing a property in Dubai as an investment, you can only imagine the difficulty in maintaining that property.
You need to have someone on the
property
ground,
manager.
in-house, someone that can manage the property, get the tenants,
Exactly.
and
And
make
property management will come at a cost, which is
Correct.
going to like eat up a bit
Yeah,
in your...
that's a very interesting point you actually brought up, because a lot of times people, when they say, oh, we're going to buy a property in Dubai, they don't put that in equation where there's also management of that property, right? You need
Yeah.
to find tenants. You got to pay someone to take care of a property.
Yes.
And you're not there in the same
And
continent.
you don't know the market. So
Yeah.
someone has just told you that, and you've heard a lot of things from a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's got its advantages, but you're just not seeing the disadvantages.
Right.
That's what you're seeing the disadvantages or the drawbacks of living here because you live here, but you haven't gone. And even if you know Dubai, or even if you've lived there, you don't know what it is like living right now. You don't know the kind of people who are coming now. What exactly is the demand? So when someone is trying to sell you something, I would say two things you want to keep in mind in terms of investment property. You got to think of it as, can I make a weekly trip out there? And that's something which is crucial, because if you're able to make a weekly trip,
Right.
that would mean that you're able to, it's exactly what your investment property is, and if your tenants are, probably if there are any damages, etc., you're able to do that weekly
Right.
kind of visit. But it's, for me, the distance is very important. So unless you have a big network in Dubai where people are able to say, hey, no, I'll do the property management, I'm your cousin, I'm your brother, that's a different scenario altogether.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody who doesn't know the space at all, I would probably take it with a big pinch of salt, and
Right.
just see what other better options I may have closer home, just because you don't know the risks, because nobody is telling you the risks of it.
Right. Makes sense. A lot of times when people want to, this is go with the hype, right? Everyone's talking about Dubai. There's so many advertisements, so many marketing material out there. And everyone's like, Dubai, buy it. Like the villa right next to the ocean, whatever it is. And people don't know that it takes a lot of management. Like someone has to be there just to make sure your property is maintained. It's tenanted all the time. And you also want to make sure that there's a return on your investment. If you're buying when the market's like at its peak,
Yes.
then you're probably not going to be able to see the return in like next 5-10 years of
Yeah.
your moving date, right? And that's also very important, because
Yes.
the cash flow does matter. And if you're
Yes.
just buying a property when it was at the highest, then you're probably not going to see the return.
Yeah.
And a lot of realtors don't really talk about that. It's always about glam, and they're always like, oh, but Dubai, you got to buy it again.
Yeah.
But why Dubai? Like, why not Miami right there, or Mexico, right? Like, there was much more affordable
Exactly.
and better return. And you can also Airbnb your place where you can get better cash flow.
Yeah.
So-
that's a great point you're making, because I know for a fact a lot of people are, if they are looking at a warmer space, etc., they do end up.
And there's so many good options near home. Like Mexico's right there, Florida's
Exactly.
right there, and you can see good cash flow return.
Yes. Even DR is there, Dominican Republic.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's a very.
And you don't have to go too far for that. Like at the end of the day, you're spending your money and you want to make sure you get a return regardless of where you're going to spend.
You've worked with tons of realtors, right? And I feel like you should probably have a good insight on what is probably the best quality as a consumer you
Yeah.
like to see in a realtor. I mean, just as a consumer, I'm curious, like, because you're probably one of the few people who just because of the nature of work which you do, you end up seeing
Yeah.
a lot of realtors.
Yeah, I think the best trait in a realtor, especially in market like this, working with a lot of realtors, I work with probably like at this time as of my, as of this conversation that we were having, probably I work with 50 on regular basis, right? Teams and people, a lot of realtors that are also struggling, and also there are realtors that are doing really good, right? And there are realtors from Montreal, there are realtors from Vancouver. So from my experience working with the good ones and not so good ones is good ones have a book of business, right? They have a lot of clients to work with. They have been nurturing hundreds of clients since like 2019, 20, 21, 22. So they have so much of clients that they've been working with, and every month there's something going on. The clients reach out to them, or they have a conversation. There was previous relationship with the clients, so there is enough coming their way, right? So they're thriving, even the market's bad. There are realtors that started 2 or 3 years ago when the market was high, everyone was doing well. There's so many buyers out there, like crazy. It was like a fish market. And those realtors, they did not have a database. They were just riding the wave. They did not. They a lot of them did not have a strategy in place. So they're like, oh, this is how real estate is supposed to be, and this is worked with whatever they had at that time. But their book of business was very very small. Like it was not. There was not even like 200 people in their database. And now, fast forward 2 years, they're struggling because they don't have buyers to work with. Now, what they're doing is they're door knocking and doing whatever they can, running the advertisement campaign, still struggling, right?
So, I mean, I think this is, you're talking about like a realtor who's doing well versus
Yeah.
a realtor who's not doing well.
Yes.
But I'm talking about from a consumer perspective. Like, I don't really care about how well you're doing or
Yeah.
not well you're doing. But if you think just as a consumer, what would you look in a realtor as the qualities which are a must
So what you're asking is, from consumers, from the client's perspective, what do you want to see in your realtor when you're working with them?
Yes, exactly.
I think number one is how quick and how articulate you are. The communication, definitely, because we are human beings, and I'm putting myself in the client's shoes. If I'm a client, I'm looking for a house, I should be able to communicate with my realtor all the time, right? My agent has to respond back. If I have a question, then my agent, I expect my agent to respond back with a very sound advice. Right? If I'm asking for something, let's say, give me a comparables for this area for a detached, 2-car garage, whatever, 4-car garage, then they should be able to respond right away. If they have a team, they're able to respond back. Milan, these are the properties that they were listed for past couple months, and this is the sold price, and this is the amount of money we should be putting in if you're going to put an offer on this area, right? And then I was like, okay, so my agent is really quick, fast. I'm getting the answer, so that's going to take me to the next step. I'm inching closer and closer towards purchasing a home because I'm looking to buy a house, right? And communication and knowing what they're doing and knowing that they have time for me and to answer my questions. So these are the qualities that I look for a realtor. And there are plenty of realtors out there. There are a lot of agents out there looking to get a client. And if I have a pool of realtors to work with, why should I work with someone who's not really great, right? I can pick the best ones because I'm not paying the money. I don't have to pay for the services. And there are like good ones, there are bad ones. I'd rather work with the good ones that will get me to my goal. My goal is to buy a property in a very, like I was saying, I would try to save up as much as possible. I want to make sure I'm not putting a lot of money buying property. and in the neighborhood, in the area that I want to move into, right? The type of house that I envision my family to be living
Yeah.
in, right? So if an agent that's communicative, data driven, really educated, knows the area, quick in responses, and really shows ownership in that relationship, and gets me to that point faster, I would rather work with that realtor than someone who does not respond, who is not very communicative, and they don't know what they're doing. They're just doing real estate because they have nothing else to do. Right?
I think one of the most important things which a lot of realtors kind of forget is because we end up doing this on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes it's the biggest financial decision of your clients.
100%.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
even if you know, sometimes I don't know how difficult it is. Like sometimes you advise them against something, but you know probably the decision which they're doing is like maybe letting go of a property or maybe skipping over a property which you think is
Yeah.
a good idea. And I think a lot of realtors end up sort of saying, hey, no, this is so, they end up looking pushy, which I don't think, is because they're trying to do what they think is the best.
Yeah.
But you got to understand that consumer is king, and if they're not seeing
The value.
then
Yeah.
it's not probably
Yeah.
for them, and they're the ones who are going to live in it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of I think the consumer is king is
Yeah.
something which you've got to keep in mind like throughout.
100%, yeah.
So you, even if the process is going to take like a longer time, you want to just make sure that you keep like respecting their choice.
Yeah, sorry.
And not like kind of trying to just say, hey, I told you that property was good. So that's something which I feel even though you're thinking it in your mind, it's like extremely unprofessional to say it out loud.
No, 100%.
Which I feel
I agree with that.
yeah. So we were talking about investment properties, and closer home is Calgary.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Calgary market?
I'll be honest with you. I've been to Calgary many times, but as a tourist, just travel and just to sit in there. I grew up in Toronto, right? Brampton, Mississauga. These are the places that I know every inch of the city, and I'm so habituated being in Toronto. Even though we like to complain about 401, but still, there's a familiarity. I know the place. I know where to go. I know the restaurants. I know the barbers. I know everyone around here. So there's a relationship. But looking at the numbers, the job numbers are great. I think they're adding more jobs because of the oil economy and whatnot. Definitely growing city because still there's room to grow. And if there's employment, if there's job being added, and
There's no HST.
Exactly. There's no HST and a lot of new development. It's a growing city and a lot of people are moving there. And when you have that kind of movement to any city in the world, the price is going to go up, right?
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
If there's something in demand, the price is going to go up, right?
Yeah.
If no one's going to be moving to Calgary, the price is going to go down, right? If it's not attractive to a lot of people, then the price, you're going to see that reflection in the prices. So price is going to go down.
Yeah.
For me, I think from looking at the numbers, looking at the stats, the job numbers, and people that are priced out in Toronto and Vancouver, they're having second thought, and they're thinking in their head, why not Calgary? Let's give it a try a couple of years. Maybe we can buy our first home in there, right? We also have to understand there are a lot of people that they're living paycheck to paycheck, minimal wage job.
Yes.
Right. Not everyone's working tech. Not everyone working corporate jobs. Right. There are a lot of people working convenience store, Tim Hortons. Like they're just getting by. And these people, they're like, you know what? We can't afford to live, even though they're renting it out in Toronto. Like we got to buy a house at some point. So if they want to buy a home, they're priced out in Toronto. The best possible option for them is to maybe move out of GTA and go somewhere else, or the next best city probably could be Calgary, right? They can still afford a home, like detached home for $5,000, $400,000. I think that's a great next step for a lot of people to own their home, right? In that case, there are a huge pool of people that are in that strata of society where they need to. If they want to buy a home, that's the option they have, and they can come back after a couple of years, right? So a lot of times we look from the perspective of people that are already bringing $100,000 a year, and they can afford it. But there are also a lot of people, millions of people living paycheck to paycheck, right? Um, they they can't afford to buy a home in Toronto, GTA. So their option is Calgary, go out there, find a job, buy a home, and raise a family, and maybe come back,
Right.
right? So in that case, there might be some opportunity for people to move to Calgary, unless you got a job in there and then you have to move. There's no choice.
Yeah.
But anyone living in Toronto, unless they want to make a move there because of lifestyle choices, I don't think a lot of people are going to move to Calgary because they want to buy a home, right? Unless you really have buying a home is a lifestyle, so they need to buy a home, the
Yeah.
first home, and there's no other option. So Calgary is the second best option
Yeah.
for a lot of people. And a lot of realtors, a lot of people, they completely kind of they have oversight. Like they don't see that they're a huge section of the population, Canadians, that can't buy a home here, so they are compelled to buy home in Calgary, Edmonton, and they're coming back after a few years or
Right.
staying there, right?
Right.
And there's huge population there. They're actually making that move.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, so like I said, I do not know a lot about the Calgary market, but what I do know for a fact is Toronto is by far the largest city in
Definitely.
Canada,
And
right?
not just Canada. Toronto is by far like it's the most habitable place on earth. One of the most. I would say top 10. It's
Yeah.
the most desirable
it's
city to be in, right?
it's
Entire
huge
world.
in terms of like just opportunities and things to do. So maybe like I do understand the pricing out because that's a real factor, but you do get like in the $500,000-$600,000 range in the Niagara region, right?
Yeah.
So it's not, yes, you won't get it in the Greater Toronto area, but you will get it in the
And
Niagara
you'll be close
region.
to the falls. You have families coming over from the
Yeah,
U.S. You can
so-
take them to the falls in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and like so it's not like if look closer home
Yeah.
first, and if you don't like any of the options, closer home is when I probably would look at Calgary.
Yeah.
Because it is going to be a huge lifestyle change. People, I think that it's just going to be moving from one city to a similar city in Canada, but it's a different province. It's a different lifestyle. It's and especially if you're used to something like Toronto or Greater Toronto area, you won't have that kind of the kind of amenities which this place offers, and you won't be able to access it as well.
Yeah.
Because even though Calgary is the largest city, there are a lot of things which Toronto just offers just by virtue of it being a bigger city. So like what I would say is probably look closer home, like maybe look down south.
Yeah.
Look at what Niagara's offering, look at what Barrie's
I'm
offering.
very glad that you brought that up, because if you're comparing apple to apple, that makes sense, because why go so far when you can just be an hour and a half away
Yeah.
from Toronto
Yeah.
and still be able to afford a home
Yes.
for yourself, and you can always move in closer to
Exactly.
Toronto, right? Like there's no point flying out 3-4 hours away.
Yeah.
And
Even if you're
be away
making a
from-
minimum wage job, even if you're making less
Yeah.
than $100,000, and if you have like a certain amount saved up for your down payment, there are places in Ontario which will get you that first home,
Yeah.
a freehold property, and you will still be, closer to the amenities which you grew up around or which you kind of like
Yeah.
are used to, versus moving to a completely different province. The reason why I bring this up specifically is I know far too many cases of a lot of people making the move back in a span of a year because their health couldn't take it because of the change in the weather. They just felt like they did not like what they thought they would get, in terms of amenities, etc. So and it's a lot of people did feel like it was some sort of definite, I wouldn't say downgrade, but definitely some kind of a come down from what they were used to. So you don't want to end up feeling like that. And a lot of things which I see about Calgary is if you've grown up, if you've been to Calgary and you know the area, I would say the first thing you should do if you are ever going to move to another city, like out of province, rent out there. Like, why don't you just rent in that place? Rent for like a year. See how you like it. It's easier to get out of a rent. I mean, like a rented place versus like selling the place and coming back. So if you want to make that lifestyle change because of cost of living and housing, rent first, and then and then make the move. That's just probably my opinion on, for you to get the feel of the city, because I've seen a lot of cases where they come back and they felt it was not for them. So, but yes, I do hear you, because it's definitely, you're getting like, a detached home for like 500, 600,000, but you have options closer home as well in Ontario. So just for the sake of, I can get a house in Calgary, is probably not the best reason to move, versus, what, my job needs me there. 100%. You need to be there.
I agree with that. 100%. Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah.
I have my entire family in Calgary. I'm going to have a baby and I need family support. Go there. 100%. It will make a difference in your lifestyle.
Right.
Versus, I cannot afford a house in, like Toronto. It's $1 million. I'm getting a detached home in Calgary for 500,000. Look closer home.
Right. You don't have to go that far. Like Niagara's
Exactly.
right there, Toronto's right there, Welland's right there.
Exactly. Yeah. You have a lot of options closer home, and they are cities which you're still going to be familiar with
Right.
to a certain extent,
Yeah.
and lesser of a lifestyle change.
100%. I agree with that. Absolutely. I agree with that sentiment as well. Like, you don't have to go too far. You can just be close to Toronto. Just drive to Toronto like an hour and a half.
Yes. I mean, if you're making the move, make it for the right reasons. It has to be like for something which you won't get here. Like if you're getting a better opportunity, like if you're going to get like a job which is paying you $200,000 versus and more, like double what you're making out here, then 100% go there.
Absolutely.
But don't make the choice based on just the cost of living, because you don't know the rest of the story. You only are comparing just one aspect of it. There are multiple areas which Toronto which Toronto and Greater Toronto area offer, which you may not have access to there. One of them is public transport. A lot of people just like the public transport out here and end up like commuting without a car. It's not very well developed in Calgary. So that's something which you want to keep in mind. And another thing also I would say is education. I mean, I know like you do have the you have really good universities there, but you have some of the best universities in Ontario. So if you have someone if you have kids who are like university, about to enter university, you may have to end up making the move back here because the chances of them being accepted somewhere here or even Montreal, just because of the number of universities around, maybe more. So that's also something you want to keep in mind
100%.
as well. So if you're thinking of children's education, the universities, because you have so many universities, you have like McMaster's, you have UFT, you have you have like so many universities in and around the Greater Toronto area and Ontario. And Ontario is built as an educational hub. That's one of the things which they're focused on. So if you are making that big lifestyle change, so think about the 4 or 5 year down the consequence as well. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I agree. Yes. Yeah. So that was a good conversation. Thank you, Sadhana, for your time, and I really appreciate that the
I know, I'm so glad you could do it.
The insights that you have and all the knowledge that you're sharing with me and all your friends and families and your clients. I'm pretty sure they're going to be able to enjoy this conversation, and also I'm pretty sure they got a lot of answers. They probably have a lot of questions that hadn't been answered.
Yeah, thanks for coming and doing this, Milan. It's just that it's not from the perspective of, I may get clients from doing a podcast, and I'm just being a little more honest out here. So it's real estate is a lot of money. It's not like a t-shirt or a sweater which you can return like if you don't like it, or if the size is not fitting, right? It's just buying into an entire lifestyle, and sometimes the way things are done can be very consequential to that entire person's life. So you want to just understand it and get the right resources, and ideally realtors should be your go-to resource for everything. They like everything from schools to like commute to neighborhoods to neighborhood income to affluency. Everything, your realtor should be a go-to person, and that's what that's literally the job apart from the negotiating.
Right.
So
I
you know,
agree. Yeah.
so it's, you want to make sure that you get everything out of, you know, the person you have entrusted to find you a home. Of course, you do your own due diligence as well.
Yeah.
But this is something you are perfectly, so you know, you are supposed to ask these questions. What are the schools? What is the affluency like? What are the demographics like? What kind of people will be living around me? What neighborhood? Like, what is their work?
Yeah.
That's something also which will, you know, like end up, you know, influencing your lifestyle. What kind of neighbors will I have? You know, how far am I from the highway? If or you know, like if I have to get to downtown Toronto, like what is? I mean, of course, you can. Everyone will say, okay, it's like, you know, half an hour commute, but sometimes the city makes a huge difference, and the community in the neighborhood makes a huge difference. Apart from that, I would also say, like, in terms of negotiating, uh, realtors have the one big advantage which nobody talks about, is we can understand and sometimes gauge the motivation of the sellers by just virtue of looking at the listing and the price changes,
Right.
and the history as well. So it's very important, and once we know that, we will be telling it to our clients, and that gives us a big edge in the way we negotiate.
Correct.
So that is a very, very important resource to have, and that can end up saving you thousands of dollars. So you want to kind of make sure that, you know, you end up knowing, okay, this is a rented property. It's kind of been vacant for 8 months. So this person has to sell. So you want to know them, you know, and you know, it's no use for them because no one's living in this property, and you know, it's been vacant for 8 months. You know, there's a motivation
Yeah.
enough for. So that's just an example I'm giving you. There are a lot of nuances and a lot of things and resources which you know, realtors bring to the table, and the right kind of realtors bring to the table. So you want to have access to all that information before you make that informed choice.
Right.
Because sometimes what we are only exposed to one facet of it. Like, let's say you're researching one city and one neighborhood, but you know, the realtor you're working with will also have access to, you know, like the neighboring areas, etc. They should be able to give you a comparison. Like, I think if you look at this neighborhood, I think it's a little more well suited. So those are the things which a realtor brings to the table.
Right.
And you should I feel it's important for everybody to just have that resource handy.
100%,
You know,
yeah.
like whether you use it or not, whether you
Yeah.
take my advice, whether you move to the, you know, like whether if I say like this neighborhood is slightly better than this one, even if you end up moving to the other neighborhood, at least you have the information and you've made that informed choice. Because neighborhoods differ vastly, and neighborhoods will affect your lifestyle.
Right.
It's the difference between you getting fed up of a country and a city
Yeah.
and wanting to move out versus saying, I can envision living here for the rest of my life.
Right.
So that is extremely crucial because this is such an, you know, like big purchase.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that every, you know, like all the money you're putting in, which would be like your life savings and, you know, so much of, you know, equity, it's the biggest purchase. So you want to make sure that you have kind of, you know, set yourself for the future. Even if the market sort of, you know, topsy-turvies, you know, there is a bit of, you know, a downturn, you're not really affected by it because the purchase itself is a good purchase. Eventually, it's
Yeah.
going to pay off.
100%. I agree
So
with that. Yeah.
yeah, so you want to have all the resources and the edge, and that is what you know, somebody who's competent brings to the table. I
Right.
feel.
No, absolutely. And that person will be Sadhana. Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah, thanks, Milan.
And yeah,
thanks for
let's-
joining.
Let's wrap
this.
up. And
Yes.
it was very nice talking to you. And thank you for
And
this,
thanks for doing this.
and thank you for the opportunity to
Do your first ever
do
podcast.
something that I've never imagined that I would ever
I'm
do.
so surprised. I'm so surprised. I feel like you should have been the person who should be doing a lot of podcasts.
I don't know. I just went with the flow, and I love it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I never know. Maybe that's
Maybe
gonna
you'll
be
have
my
like your own
next.
podcast or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I should talk to a lot of people,
I think you should.
right?
Yeah.
Talk to a lot of people out there and just, try to learn about them, their career, their trade, and their,
Yeah, you should.
people from all walks of life.
Yeah. I know I know
Yeah.
I know my lawyer who's doing that. So
Yeah, I think, and yeah, so thank you, Sadhana. It was nice meeting you, and
Yes.
thank you for all the information.
yes, and thanks for doing this, Milan. We'll
Yeah.
catch up soon again.
Yes. So Sadhana, what made you pick real estate as a career? Like, what made you come to real estate, and what propelled you towards a real estate career? I know you had a completely different background, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden you jumped into real estate.
Yeah. So I think this is such an interesting, like question. And I was actually listening to a podcast, and I think that's probably where, and they were talking about, about basically happiness and satisfaction in somebody's life, right? So, and when you're talking about happiness and satisfaction, and this is basically from the podcast, and I think it resonated so much with me. That's why I'm telling you this, that there are two types of people. Some people want to kind of, do something just so that they can get the approval of others. And there are some people and then the other type are people who just want to have a positive impact, on somebody's life, right? So, and I think if you look at it from just a perspective of satisfaction, real estate gives you so much of satisfaction. And I remember when I joined, Mudit was telling me, and I didn't believe it at first, but now I genuinely believe it, that it does change you as a person. You become better at your own personal relationships just by the fact that you're able to, talk, and you talk to so many people and such different kinds of people in such stressful situations. And when you do have that successful, the culmination of them getting to their dream point or purchase point, it's you played an important part in their journey towards financial satisfaction and financial success. And I feel like that really mattered to me, and it's something which I feel like you can do. I also felt that something that I enjoy talking to people a lot. I just was naturally a person who who would like to share things, which would just try to kind of help people do go about whatever they wanted to do. So for me, real estate was that one thing where I felt you can bring about a really positive impact on somebody's life if you do your job right. So for me, I saw that from my perspective, and it's also changed me as a person. So I am not the same person as I was 5 years down the line. My priorities are different right now. My the way I think is different right now, and I attribute a lot of it to this profession because it's given me a lot, right? It's given me people who have really, I feel I don't even deserve some of the amount of, appreciation, but because I was just doing a job, but it ends up giving you so much more. And I felt like I just wanted to grow and get more of it, and that's keeps me motivated. The biggest thing I can tell you is that even on let's say a weekend, or even if I'm not having any clients, or if it's not, I still don't mind you're hopping onto a call, doing something because it's relevant to that. For me, it brings me that joy versus saying, oh no, today's I have to get back to this. So I've never felt that. It's just something which I feel has brought about a really positive impact on my personal journey as well.
And also you're a mom and you're a wife as well, right? How are you managing all that, like being at home, making sure the kid's ready for school, and also having that role as a mother and as a wife and all that responsibility, and also you're so active in real estate. How are you managing all that?
Yeah. So I think it's challenging, especially when if you have a young kid, because there are so many things like I think that's the biggest challenge I have.
I can only imagine. There's a lot running around, a lot
There's
of
a lot of
mental attention that goes towards,
Yeah.
every single day. There's a lot of attention that
Yeah,
your
and-
child, kind of needs from you, right? That's
Yes.
non-negotiable. And then you're drained half the day. Like you're okay, half day is gone, and now I
Yes.
have whatever is left. You're also working with your
Yes.
clients, and
Yeah.
there's only so much energy you have in a day.
Yeah,
Like, how
so-
do you manage all that?
I mean, there are some things which I feel like I don't miss out at all. Like I have to do his bedtime.
Yeah.
I have to make him sleep or read him his bedtime story. But also I try to spend whatever hours I do try to spend with him. I make sure that we kind of it's fruitful.
Right.
And I see a lot of value in the like even in a day if I have to spend like 4 hours or 5 hours with him, I'll try to make sure that it's something which is sort of constructive versus just going along and just doing. It is tricky. That's one of the things which I've been trying to balance. But I have to say I have a very supportive spouse, and he's somebody who is
He's amazing. Yeah.
he probably takes a lot of the
Yeah.
guilt away from me, because that's what you end up
Yeah.
dealing with. You end up dealing with guilt, and you end up always questioning yourself
Right.
as to, am I doing the right thing by driving to Pickering on a Sunday when I could be going to the fair,
Yeah.
the fall fair with my son. So that those are the questions you keep thinking
Yeah.
about.
A lot of sacrifices, right? The weekends are busy with the clients.
The weekends was what kind of threw me off in the beginning.
Right.
But I got used to it to an extent that now we do plan our holidays also in a way where I end up taking advantage of a long weekend, etc. So I sometimes clock off work and I tell my clients that I'm going to be out of town or something, and we end up having a really good time. And we try to create those memories, so it's not like he's I the guilt is lesser now. It was a lot in the beginning, especially when you have a young child and then you see all your peers going and doing all the usual things with their kids, and then you're somewhere in the middle of nowhere driving.
Right.
So yeah, but I think all moms have their own challenges. I don't think I'm the only one struggling with this, and I'm sure there are a lot of mom realtors who have done such a fantastic job. So I think I'm just still learning and figuring it out.
Right. Hats off to you guys. And, it's not easy to juggle between your work and family.
Yeah.
Right? Especially when you have a little kid.
Yeah.
It needs a lot of attention from you, and you're trying to maintain that home, and then at the same time, your career, your work.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they also learn just de facto by watching you and seeing how
Yeah.
you, because I know for a fact my mother was working as well, right? And she's worked throughout my life. I've not known her been in a non-working time ever. She's been working throughout. So it's something which is just, it's natural to see me, okay, she was out of the house at 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. and she would come back at 6 p.m. I would be in daycare. I would be after school, I would come back and I would be in daycare. Then she would pick me. So it was normal for me. So I know that, it was different back then and it's different now, but I still feel like I learned a lot from watching her as well on how she balanced her life. And I try to implement some of those things, because I don't think I missed out on a lot. I may probably have gotten less fascinating lunch boxes maybe, but because my mom wouldn't have had the time to make this elaborate lunch box for me, but I still manage fine, right? So I have a lot of good memories, so
Right. Okay.
So that's what I think matters at the end of the day, to make sure that you make a lot of good memories, make sure that you are involved in their day-to-day education, but also it's very important for your own personal growth to keep growing in your profession
100%,
as
yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
because it's something which, your kids will grow up as well, but you don't want to it's always going to be a balancing act. And I
Right.
don't think it's now like only a mom thing. I think even dads face it. So even dads, like, hey, I want to start a company, but no, like, let my kid grow up a little. And once he is, like maybe in, like middle school or something, maybe I'll do something. So I think a lot of dads are, getting involved a lot as well. So I think it's important to acknowledge they have a role as well.
Right. It makes
And-
sense. Yeah.
And a supportive spouse will always be, it's like a team, it's like teamwork. So supportive, spouses will always work as a team versus putting the onus on somebody else. Like, hey,
Right.
it was your job to pick up the kid from school. So yeah.
Well, that's amazing how you're trying to make sure your family life is not being affected.
Yeah,
At the same time, you're doing your best in your career as well as a realtor. But yeah, no, that's amazing, Sadhana. I love to. It's
I've got a
amazing.
question for you.
Yes.
So I want to ask you, like,
Yeah.
why don't you want to settle down sometime
Yeah.
in Canada? Like, why do you feel
Yeah.
like you? I mean, I know that you go like to Maldives because of
Yeah.
personal reasons, and you have family in Nepal.
Yeah.
But why do you want to just?
For me, I always love traveling, and I've traveled pretty much all my life. I don't know why. I think it's a need to get out there to see things and
Okay.
to. I think it's what you want to do, and then you were able to do that. Somehow you managed to do it so far. So I always wanted to travel. Always wanted to find opportunity while traveling.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to adjust my lifestyle based on the travel, right? I always wanted to incorporate freedom into my work, and also there are repercussions to that line of thoughts, because then you're not going to be able to advance in a certain kind of career where you could be, where you needed a home all the time, and climbing that ladder or whatever, right? So you have to let go of that part of your career just to make those life choices, because you love traveling, going out there. So you had to pick what matches the best with the lifestyle that you wanna live.
So is that what you feel you're going to be doing
I
for
think so.
a really long time?
Yeah, I've always been doing that since 2005. I've traveled all the time since 2005. It's not new to me. So I've traveled pretty much a lot of countries, I would say.
It's amazing to hear. Yeah.
I love traveling, and I don't know why I'm traveling so much. I love it.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
It's I think, like, especially I think because you also
Yeah.
I'm glad because travel really enriches you.
Yes.
And travel is a luxury, so a lot of people would be
Yeah.
very envious of your position as well. Like, you're traveling a lot. But I think, like, sometimes if, let's say, like with the family, etc., sometimes that can be a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
I know traveling families as well
But
now.
when you
so-
have a kid, and you won't be able to travel as much, right? So
yeah, so that's the only like
yeah.
challenge. But yeah, no, traveling definitely enriches you. So good on you for doing it.
Thank you. So today was a very good day, and had a good conversation with Sadhana, and I think we're gonna have
gonna
another
wrap it
session.
up now?
Yeah,
Okay,
we're gonna have
yay,
another
cut.
session. And thank you, Sadhana,
Yes,
for
I
being
know.
awesome.